I woke up with a splitting headache, the smell of disinfectant stinging my nostrils. Opening my eyes, I was met with the stark white ceiling of a hospital room. Ning Weilan, you're finally awake. A deep, cold male voice came from the right. I turned my head with difficulty and saw a man in a suit standing by the bed. His features were sharp, his eyes and brows as if carved from stone, and he exuded an aura of authority without even trying. Suddenly, a flood of information rushed into my mind. I had transmigrated into the melodramatic CEO novel President Was Beloved that I had stayed up all night reading, and I had become the female lead, Ning Weilan, who was physically and emotionally tormented, and the man before me is none other than the perverse and domineering CEO, Hua Linchin, who would lock the female lead in the basement on a whim and take everything by force. What, pretending to have amnesia? Hua Linchin sneered, his slender fingers gripping my chin. Jumping off a building to escape marriage. Ning Weilan, you've really grown some guts. It was only then that I noticed my right leg was in a cast, with multiple abrasions all over my body. In the original story, this part of the plot involved the female lead being forced into marriage by Hua Linchin, and in despair, she jumped from the second floor, fracturing her leg. As a doctor of law and a forensic examiner, I immediately listed several charges against Hua Linchin in my mind: unlawful detention, intentional injury, forced marriage. Let go, I said coldly, my voice hoarse from thirst, but the deterrence in my tone made Hua Linchin visibly pause for a moment. He narrowed his eyes. What did you say? I said. Let go. I spoke word by word, while my right hand quietly reached for the phone on the bedside table. Your current behavior already constitutes intentional injury. According to Article 234 of the criminal law, Hua Linchin seemed to have heard the biggest joke of his life, letting out a scornful laugh. Ning Weilan, did you damage your brain when you jumped off the building? Not only did he not let go, but he also increased the force of his grip. Don't forget, your Ning family owes me, and you must repay it for a lifetime. I gasped in pain, but my mind was unusually clear. Taking advantage of his distraction, I quickly snapped a photo of him pinching my chin with my phone, then abruptly pressed the emergency call button. What are you doing? Hua Linchin's face suddenly changed. Collecting evidence, I shook my phone, backing up the photo to the cloud right in front of him. Mr. Hua, your actions just now constitute intentional assault, and the evidence is solid. A nurse rushed in at the sound and froze at the sight in the hospital room. Mr. Hua, call the police, I said directly to the nurse. This man is assaulting me. Hua Linchin's face darkened with fury. Ning Weilan, do you know the consequences of crossing me? Of course I do, I smiled. According to the anti-domestic violence law, you will face up to 15 days of detention and may be issued a personal safety protection order by the court. I turned to the stunned nurse. Please help me call the police, and also ask a doctor to come and assess my injuries. Hua Linchin clearly didn't expect me to take this approach. A flicker of panic flashed in his eyes, but he quickly regained his arrogant expression. Do you think the police can do anything to me? In City A, our Hua family, all are equal before the law in the People's Republic of China. I interrupted him. Mr. Hua, you are suspected of multiple criminal offenses, including but not limited to illegal detention, intentional injury, threats, and intimidation. I suggest you contact your lawyer now, because you will need one very soon. The atmosphere in the hospital room was tense and confrontational. Hua Linchin stared at me intently, as if trying to see through my soul. I calmly met his gaze, my finger already quietly pressing the record button. Fine, very well. Hua Linchin suddenly smiled, a chilling grin that sent shivers down the spine. I'd like to see what tricks you can pull off. After saying this, he turned and left, his leather shoes making a dull thud on the floor. I let out a long sigh of relief. But I knew this was only the beginning. The nurse hesitantly approached. Miss Ning, are you really going to call the police? Mr. Hua, yes, call them, I said resolutely. Additionally, I need to access the hospital surveillance footage and my complete medical records. Half an hour later, 2 police officers arrived at the hospital room. The older one looked visibly troubled when he saw me. Miss Ning, Mr. Hua said this is all a misunderstanding. Officer Wang, right? I called him by his name directly. In the original story, he was a contact of the Hua family. This is my application for a medical injury assessment and evidence of the violence Hua Linchin just inflicted on me. according to the regulations on handling injury cases by public security organs, you should accept this case immediately. Officer Wang was stunned. Miss Ning knows the law, Doctor of Jurisprudence. I smiled slightly, specializing in criminal law and forensic medicine. The younger officer couldn't help but interject, but Mr. Hua said you jumped off the building yourself, then why not investigate the reason I jumped? I pulled up the video I had secretly recorded earlier on my phone. The original female lead had a habit of documenting Hua Linchen's atrocities. This is evidence of Hua Linchen's abuse toward me over the past 3 months, including illegal confinement, psychological torment, and physical violence. In the video, Hua Linchen locked me in a dark basement, cutting off my water and food. He publicly humiliated me at a banquet, and the most shocking scene was him whipping my back with a belt. The two police officers' expressions changed drastically. I pressed my advantage. According to Article 260(1) of the criminal law, the crime of abusing a person under guardianship or care can result in imprisonment of up to 3 years or criminal detention, combined with the intentional harm just now. The chain of evidence is complete. Officer Wang broke out in a cold sweat. We need to consult with our superiors. Fine, I nodded, but according to the People's Police Law, you have an obligation to immediately stop ongoing illegal and criminal activities. Hua Linchen left less than an hour ago, and my personal safety is still under threat. I request police protection. At that moment, the door to the hospital room was pushed open again. A frail woman in a hospital gown was wheeled in on a wheelchair, her face pale and tears glistening in her eyes. Sister Weilan, please don't sue Brother Linchen. Her voice trembled. It's all my fault. If I hadn't fallen ill and needed a kidney transplant, Brother Linchen wouldn't have forced you. Ah, she's here. I sneered inwardly. Su Yuan, the white moonlight from the original story, a scheming woman who feigns illness to gain sympathy. The root cause of all the female leads' tragedies, Miss Su, is it? I said calmly. First, according to the regulations on human organ transplantation, living organ donation must be completely voluntary, and any form of coercion is illegal. Second, I deliberately paused, looking her up and down. You look even healthier than I do. Do you really need a kidney transplant? Su Yuan's face changed, and she immediately started coughing violently. The doctor said I cough. Only have 30% kidney function left. Is that so? I raised an eyebrow. That's perfect. I just asked the doctor to pull up your medical records. I waved the tablet in my hand. Strangely enough, it shows your kidney function is completely normal, not even a mild case of nephritis. Su Yuan's expression instantly froze. In the original story, this white moonlight had been feigning illness for years, fooling everyone. But she never expected that the current Ning Weilan was a time traveler with extensive forensic knowledge. This can't be. Su Yuan panicked and looked toward the door, where Hua Linchen had returned at some point, his face ashen. Officer Wang, I raised my voice. Now there's an additional charge, fraud. Su Yuan fabricated her illness to fraudulently obtain medical resources and another person's organs, involving an exceptionally large amount. Hua Linchen strode forward. Ning Weilan. That's enough, Mr. Hua, threatening the victim in front of the police. I sneered. Article 293 of the criminal law, the crime of picking quarrels and provoking trouble, punishable by up to 5 years of imprisonment. Officer Wang finally realized the seriousness of the matter and said to the young officer, Xiao Zhang, call for backup and invite Mr. Hua and Miss Su back to the station to assist with the investigation. A flicker of disbelief flashed in Hua Linchen's eyes. Officer Wang. Do you know what you're doing, Mr. Hua? The evidence is solid this time. Officer Wang wiped the sweat from his brow. Please cooperate. When the police handcuffed Hua Linchen, the entire hospital room fell silent. Su Yuan cried pitifully, but no one believed her act anymore. I watched it all quietly, without a ripple in my heart. Ning Weilan. Hua Linchen gave me one last look before being taken away, his voice low and dangerous. We'll see about this. I smiled back. See you in court, Mr. Hua. After the ward finally returned to calm, I let out a long sigh and began to gather my thoughts. It was already unlucky enough to have transmigrated into this cliché domineering CEO novel, but even worse was becoming the female lead who was tormented to the brink of death. But now, I am no longer that submissive Ning Weilan. I am Ning Weilan, a doctor of jurisprudence. Majoring in criminal law and minoring in forensic medicine, in this twisted world of domineering CEOs, the law is my best weapon. The phone on the bedside table suddenly vibrated, and the screen showed an incoming call from my adoptive mother. In the original story, the female lead's adoptive parents sold her to Hua Linshan for profit and often helped Su Yuan frame her. I curled the corner of my mouth and pressed the answer button. Hello, Mom, Weilan. I heard you called the police and had President Hua arrested. Have you lost your mind? My adoptive mother's sharp voice came through. Withdraw the case immediately, otherwise we'll cut ties with you. Perfect, I said with a smile. I've just collected evidence of how you've abused me over the years and illegally seized my biological parents' inheritance. According to Article 260 of the criminal law, the crime of abuse carries a maximum sentence of 7 years. Shall we discuss this slowly in court? The other end of the line suddenly fell silent, followed by the beeping of a busy tone. I put down my phone and looked out the window at the sunlight. This is just the beginning. The violent male lead, the fake sick white moonlight, the malicious foster parents, none of you will escape. After all, in this world, I am the one who knows the law best. After the police took Hua Linshan and Su Yuan away, I was just about to get some proper rest when the hospital room door was pushed open again. A young girl in a pink nurse's uniform peeked in, her eyes sparkling. Miss Ning. She ran in excitedly, as if she had just met her idol. You were so cool just now. I saw everything from the monitoring room. You left Mr. Hua speechless with legal arguments. I raised an eyebrow. Who are you? I'm Lin Xiaoman, a trainee nurse. She glanced around, lowering her voice. Mr. Hua sends patients to our hospital every year, and those girls always end up, you know, we've long been fed up with him. The supporting nurse in the original story who secretly helps the female lead. I extended my hand. Can I borrow your phone? Lin Xiaoman handed over her phone without hesitation. I quickly logged into my cloud storage, backed up all the photos and videos I had just taken, and then returned it to her. Do me a favor, send this information to major media outlets and online platforms. The Hua family will suppress it, right? I revealed a mysterious smile. That's why we need to use a special method. Remember to add the tags. Hashtag truth about wealthy families, hashtag rule of law society, hashtag crackdown on organized crime, hashtag. And tag a few official media accounts and legal influencers. Lin Xiaoman suddenly understood, giving an okay sign. Got it, I'll make sure Mr. Hua goes viral. As soon as she left, the door to my hospital room was pushed open for the third time. This time, it was kicked open. A tall, burly man stormed in angrily, followed by 2 bodyguards. Ning Weilan, the man roared, how dare you lay a hand on my son? Oh ho! Hua Zhengtian, the father of Hua Linshan in the original story. The true power holder of the Hua group. I leisurely pressed the bedside call button. Nurse station, there are 3 unidentified individuals trespassing in the ward. Please call security and, while you're at it, report it to the police. Hua Zhengtian's face turned ashen. Do you have any idea what the Hua group means in City A? Of course I do. I counted on my fingers. It means you are suspected of organizing, leading, or participating in a mafia-style organization. As per Article 294 of the criminal law, in cases of particularly serious circumstances, the sentence is 7 years or more in prison. Hua Zhengtian was left speechless, his bodyguard stepping forward. Chairman Hua, should we, thinking of resorting to force? I immediately raised my phone and started a live stream. Who can understand this, folks? Broad daylight, and dark forces are threatening the victim. Double tap 666, hit that follow button to stay on track. The bodyguard froze in place. And Hua Zhengtian's face turned green. Turn it off. Why should I? I deliberately aimed the camera at him. According to Article 1019 of the Civil Code, no organization or individual may infringe upon another person's portrait rights by means of defamation, damage, or other methods. However, I raised my voice. For the purpose of news reporting, it is permissible to produce or use a person's portrait without consent if it is unavoidable. Hua Zhengtian, I continued explaining to the camera. See, everyone, this is the typical face of a chaebol. I've already recorded that last part and will post it online right away. The title will be, Shocking. Hua Group Chairman Threatens Hospitalized Patient. It's bound to go viral. Hua Jintian trembled with anger but dared not lose his temper in front of the camera. Just then, security guards and police officers finally arrived, the Hua family again. The lead officer looked exasperated. Chairman Hua, you're making things very difficult for us. Hua Jintian snorted coldly, threw down a "we'll see," and left with his people. I turned off the live stream and smiled at the police officer. Thank you for your hard work, officer. Is the material for my personal safety protection order ready? The police officer shook his head helplessly. Miss Ning, your case is a bit complicated, I understand. The Hua family has too much influence. But it's okay, I've been prepared for this, officer. I also have evidence of tax evasion and bribery of officials by the Hua group on my phone. I lowered my voice. If it's inconvenient for your department to handle, I can directly contact the provincial anti-crime office. The police officer's face suddenly changed. How do you have these? That's not important, I smiled. What matters is that the special campaign against organized crime and corruption is underway. This is a great opportunity to make a contribution. The police officer looked at me deeply. Miss Ning, I will report this to my superiors. Please be careful. After they left, I could finally catch my breath. Just as I closed my eyes, I heard the sound of a dog barking outside the window. I pulled back the curtains and saw a majestic German shepherd tied up on the lawn downstairs. The fierce dog named General, raised by Hua Linchen in the original story, specifically used to intimidate the female lead. At that moment, it was barking furiously at my window, its fangs gleaming white. Well, if it isn't the accomplice, Wang Kai. I opened the window and waved at it. According to the Animal Epidemic Prevention Law, keeping aggressive dogs requires them to be leashed and muzzled. Or you could face a fine of up to 5,000 yuan. Your owner is already in trouble, yet you're still acting so arrogantly. The German shepherd barked even more fiercely, trying to break free from its chain. Calmly, I recorded a video and sent it to Lin Xiaoman. Help me contact the Animal Management Office. Tell them there's an unregistered aggressive dog at the hospital threatening public safety. 10 minutes later, the animal management officers arrived. As the German shepherd was muzzled and dragged away, it stared at me with a bewildered look. I waved at it. See you in prison, little cutie. Remember to reform yourself and become a better dog. After handling all that, I could finally lie down and rest. Just as I closed my eyes, my phone rang again. It was an unfamiliar number. Hello, I answered lazily. Miss Ning Weilan. A gentle male voice came through. I'm Ji Mingyuan, a lawyer from Mingyuan Law Firm. Someone recommended your special case to me. I sat up abruptly. Who recommended it? Nurse Lin Xiaoman. She said you need a lawyer who isn't afraid of the Hua family. Ji Mingyuan chuckled lightly. As it happens, my specialty is taking on lawsuits against chaebols. Interesting, the original work did mention this commoner lawyer, who specializes in fighting for the underprivileged against chaebols and is an important character who helps the female lead in the later stages. Lawyer G, my case is not simple. I deliberately tested the waters. Hua Linchen is suspected of multiple criminal offenses, but the Hua family will definitely use all their connections to suppress it. The sound of papers rustling came from the other end of the phone. I've already reviewed the preliminary evidence you released. According to Article 238 of the Criminal Law, the crime of unlawful detention, Article 243, the crime of false accusation and framing, and the crime of organizing and leading a mafia-style organization that you just mentioned. He paused. Miss Ning, I am definitely taking this case. The corner of my mouth lifted. How are the legal fees calculated? Pay only if we win. His voice carried a hint of amusement. But there's one condition. You must agree to join forces with me to completely take down the Hua family. Deal? I didn't hesitate. When can we meet to discuss in detail? Tomorrow at 10 a.m., the cafe next to the hospital. Ji Mingyuan said. By the way, I should remind you, the Hua family won't let this go easily, so be careful tonight. Hanging up the phone, I was in a great mood. It seemed that in this twisted world of domineering CEOs, I had finally found reliable teammates. As night fell and I was about to rest, the door to the hospital room was suddenly pushed open gently. A doctor in a white coat walked in, a mask covering most of his face. Miss Ning, it's time to change your dressing, he said softly. Pushing the treatment cart closer, I narrowed my eyes. In the original story, The Hua family often sent people disguised as medical staff to drug the female lead. I quietly pressed the alarm hidden under my pillow while pretending to be weak and saying, "Doctor, I feel so dizzy." A flicker of delight flashed in the doctor's eyes as he picked up a syringe from the treatment cart. "Don't worry, this will stop the dizziness." Just as he approached, I suddenly threw off the blanket and, with a standard grappling move, pinned him against the wall. According to Article 232 of the criminal law, intentional homicide is punishable by death, life imprisonment, or imprisonment of not less than 10 years. "Speak, who sent you?" The doctor panicked. I was just. The ward door burst open, and security guards rushed in. I released my grip and pointed at the syringe on the floor. "Be careful. It might be toxic. I recommend sending it for examination as evidence." The security captain looked shocked. "Miss Ning, you know how to do takedowns too." I took a women's self-defense elective in college. I clapped my hands. "By the way, remember to check if this person is a wanted criminal." The Hua family loves using people with criminal records for their dirty work. After the fake doctor was taken away, I could finally sleep peacefully. Before going to bed, I sent Ji Mingyuan a message. "Remember to bring a voice recorder tomorrow. I have a new case to entrust to you, attempted murder." Early the next morning, just after I finished breakfast, Lin Xiaoman rushed in, flustered. "Miss Ning, something terrible has happened. Mr. Hua has been released on bail. Su Yuan is still playing the victim on Weibo, saying you framed her." I calmly opened my phone and, as expected, saw the top trending topic, #Su Yuan's hospital bed photo #. In the photo, she was lying in the ICU with various tubes attached, accompanied by the caption, "The innocent will be proven innocent, time will tell everything." I couldn't help but laugh out loud. The Photoshop skills were just too poor. The ECG readings were clearly copy-pasted. I quickly drafted a Weibo post. "At Su Yuan, dear, the ECG monitor in the ICU shows a sinus rhythm, but the waveform in your photo is ventricular fibrillation. With that kind of rhythm, you should have been given an electric shock for resuscitation long ago. Even faking an illness requires following the basics." #medical debunking #. Within 10 minutes of posting, #Su Yuan faking illness exposed #shot to the top of the trending list. Netizens started making memes. "Su Yuan, I'm dying, ECG, no, you're not, next time. Su Yuan, I suggest you look up what an ECG looks like on Baidu before pretending to be sick." The best medical blunder of the year. Just as I was enjoying the jokes, the door to the ward was pushed open again. This time, it was Hua Linchin himself. He was dressed in a sharp suit, but there were noticeable dark circles under his eyes, clearly having had a sleepless night. "Ning Weilan," he gritted his teeth and said, "What exactly do you want?" I tilted my head and thought for a moment. "Want you to go to jail." Hua Linchin took a deep breath. "Name your terms." "Money, a house, company shares." "Wow, is this bribery?" I immediately turned on the recording. According to Article 389 of the criminal law, offering property to state personnel in exchange for improper benefits constitutes the crime of bribery. "Mr. Hua, you're adding crime to crime." Hua Linchin's veins bulged on his forehead. "You, what about me?" I mimicked his tone. "Hua Linchin, do you think having money means you can do whatever you want? What era is this now? Have you heard of the special campaign against organized crime and evil forces? Do you want the contact information for the Central Inspection Team?" Hua Linchin suddenly laughed, a chilling smile. "Ning Weilan, you've changed. You used to be like a little white rabbit, but now," he leaned in closer, "like a wildcat." I rolled my eyes. "Mr. Hua, this is sexual harassment and threats. Article 40 of the Law on the Protection of Women's Rights and Interests prohibits sexual harassment against women. I can definitely call the police again." Hua Linchin straightened up, adjusting his tie. "We'll see each other in court. Take care." "No need to see me out." I waved my hand, remembering to prepare your defense lawyer. I have the great attorney Ji Mingyuan on my side. Upon hearing Ji Mingyuan's name, Hua Linchin's expression shifted slightly, but he quickly regained his composure and turned to leave. I let out a long sigh of relief and glanced at the time. 9:40. Time to meet Ji Mingyuan. I changed out of my hospital gown, grabbed my crutches, and headed out. In the hospital corridor, a few young nurses secretly gave me a thumbs up. As I passed the nurses' station, the morning news was playing on the TV. Well, Group's stock price plummeted 7% at the opening this morning, reportedly related to the alleged illegal activities exposed online yesterday. I hummed a little tune as I walked out of the hospital gate. The sun was just right, and the breeze was gentle. This battle with the domineering CEO had only just begun, after all. In this society governed by the rule of law, whether you're a domineering CEO or a chaebol, if you break the law, you'll pay the price, and I, Ning Weilan, am the one who will send you straight to prison. In the cafe next to the hospital, I pushed the door open with my crutch and immediately noticed the man in the corner, Ji Mingyuan. He was younger than I had imagined, around 30 years old, with sharp eyes behind gold-rimmed glasses, dressed in a suit and tie. He wore a pair of limited edition sneakers, creating a strange yet harmonious contrast. Miss Ning. He stood up and helped me sit down. How's your leg injury? Tibial fracture, minor injury level 2. I skillfully reported the injury, just enough to meet the filing standard for the crime of intentional assault. Ji Mingyuan smiled, pulling a stack of documents from his briefcase. I've studied your case, and there's good news. Hua Linchen's former assistant is willing to testify in court, proving that he subjected you to long-term psychological abuse. I raised an eyebrow. How did you convince them? He owed the assistant 3 months' wages. Ji Mingyuan adjusted his glasses. Article 85 of the labor law states that if an employer fails to pay labor remuneration in full and on time, the worker may terminate the labor contract and demand compensation. Indeed, a clever person. I took out my phone. Look at this. Last night someone impersonated a doctor to give me a poisoned injection. After watching the surveillance video, Ji Mingyuan's expression turned grave. The Hua family is really desperate, but, he suddenly smiled, this actually works in our favor. Attempted intentional homicide is much more serious than domestic violence. There's even more explosive news. I lowered my voice. Lin Xiaoman helped me get the patient list from Hua's private hospital. Over the past 5 years, 17 young women have accidentally died, all with Rh-negative blood. Ji Mingyuan's pupils suddenly contracted. Are they involved in illegal organ trading? I suspect so. I opened an encrypted file, and what a coincidence. Su Yuan also has Rh-negative blood and needs a kidney replacement every year, but her kidney function is completely normal. We both fell silent for a few seconds. Ji Mingyuan suddenly extended his hand. Miss Ning, a pleasure to work with. I shook his hand. Just call me Weilan. By the way, do you have a WeChat group? How about creating an anti-tyrant CEO operations command center? Half an hour later, the 3-person group chat with Ji Mingyuan and Lin Xiaoman was set up. Lin Xiaoman changed the group name to Anti-Corruption and Crime Task Force, and the profile picture was a panda emoji beating up a groundhog. Lin Xiaoman, Weilan, I just found out that Su Yuan bought trolls to smear you on Weibo. Screenshot, JPG. I opened the screenshot. It was a long post by Su Yuan titled Every Day of Being Framed, with the comments section flooded with messages like, my heart aches for Yuan, and, that vicious woman deserves to die a horrible death. Ning Weilan, no rush, let her perform a little longer, remember to save the evidence. Article 243 of the criminal law, the crime of false accusation and framing, is waiting for her. Ji Mingyuan, at Ning Weilan. The court hearing is scheduled for next Wednesday. I have applied for a public trial. The media arrangements are all set. I grinned and sent a voice message. Folks, grab your snacks and chairs. The show's about to begin. Time flew by, and before I knew it, the day of the court hearing had arrived. The entrance of the courthouse was packed with reporters, and as I stepped out of the car on crutches, camera flashes lit up all around. Miss Ning, is it true that you have evidence of the Hua family's crimes? How do you respond to the accusations made by Miss Su Yuan? Mr. Hua Linchen claims that this is an emotional dispute. What is your view on this? I stopped walking and spoke seriously into the microphone. First of all, this is not an emotional dispute, it is a criminal case. Secondly, I shook my phone. I will be live streaming the entire trial today, so remember to follow. Folks, the courtroom was packed. Hua Linchen sat in the defendant's seat, dressed in a suit. His gaze dark and menacing when he saw me. Su Yuan, on the other hand, wore a plain white dress, looking fragile and delicate, occasionally coughing a few times. The judge struck the gavel. The court is now in session. The plaintiff may state their claims. Ji Mingyuan stood up. Our side is suing Huolinchin on 7 charges including intentional injury, illegal detention, and threats and intimidation. The evidence is as follows. As he presented his case, I secretly observed the reactions of the jury. When the video of Huolinchin whipping me with a belt was played, a female juror gasped in shock. When my plea for help before jumping from the building was displayed, many frowned. When it was the Hua family lawyer's turn to defend, the bald middle-aged man wore an arrogant expression. Your Honor, this is merely a minor quarrel between lovers. My client is willing to offer 500,000 in compensation to settle. Objection, Ji Mingyuan said sharply. The defense attorney is downplaying a serious criminal offense as a minor quarrel, which is a contempt of judicial fairness. The judge nodded. Objection sustained. Counsel for the defense, please watch your language. The Hua family's lawyer reluctantly changed his wording, but the core remained the same, trying to downgrade the criminal case to a civil dispute. When it was my turn to testify, I stood in the witness box leaning on a crutch. The Hua family's lawyer immediately challenged me. Ms. Ning, did you jump from the building because you truly wanted to commit suicide, or was it to frame my client? Objection, Ji Mingyuan stood up immediately. Leading question, the judge hadn't even ruled yet, and I couldn't help but laugh. Counsel, your question violates Article 52 of the Criminal Procedure Law, which strictly prohibits the collection of evidence through illegal methods such as threats, inducements, or deception. Would you like me to give you a little lesson on the law? A few light chuckles came from the public gallery. The Hua family's lawyer turned pale with anger and changed his question. You claim to have been illegally detained, but surveillance footage shows you were free to come and go from the villa. How do you explain that? Oh, I pulled out my phone. Are you referring to this surveillance footage? I played a video in court, showing me walking toward the villa's main gate, only to be immediately blocked by 2 bodyguards, and this. I played another recording of Huolinchin's voice. Ning Weilan, if you dare take 1 step out of this door, I'll break your legs. I thoughtfully added the Great Compassion mantra as background music to the audio. The courtroom erupted in an uproar. The judge struggled to suppress a laugh as he banged his gavel. Order. The Hua family's lawyer broke out in a cold sweat and suddenly turned to the judge. We request to summon the witness. Ms. Su Yuan, frail as a willow in the wind, took the witness stand and tearfully recounted how I had envied her pure friendship with Huolinchin and how I had falsely accused her of feigning illness. Miss Ning even threatened to kill me, she sobbed, then suddenly rolled her eyes and fainted on the witness stand. The courtroom erupted in chaos. Huolinchin rushed forward to hold her. Yuan, call an ambulance. I calmly took out a bottle of essential balm from my pocket. Your Honor, I suggest letting Miss Su smell this first. It's a cure for all kinds of faked fainting. The judge actually nodded in agreement. I unscrewed the cap and held the essential balm under Su Yuan's nose. 3 seconds later, she miraculously woke up and even let out a loud sneeze. The gallery burst into laughter. The judge's hand trembled as he banged the gavel. Miss Su, providing false testimony carries legal consequences. Please consider carefully. The trial lasted the entire day. During the recess, Lin Xiaoman was frantically sending messages in the group chat. Lin Xiaoman, Sister Weilan, you were so cool. #Law Goddess takes down the tyrant CEO. # is already trending. Lin Xiaoman, the highlight video I edited from the trial has surpassed 1 million views. Netizens are all asking for the link to the essential balm. Ji Mingyuan. At Ning Weilan, the Hua family has started hiring internet trolls to whitewash their image. Be careful. Finally, the judge announced an adjournment and set a date for the verdict. Although the final outcome is not yet determined, public opinion has overwhelmingly sided with us. As I walked out of the courthouse, Huolinchin stopped me, his voice lowered to a whisper. Ning Weilan, do you think this is over? Just as I was about to retort, a sudden bark echoed. It was General, the German shepherd taken away by the Animal Management Center. Wearing a working dog vest, he barked furiously at Huolinchin. A staff member from the management center hurried over. Miss Ning, General has passed the assessment and become a therapy dog, but he seems to particularly dislike the Hua family. I crouched down and patted General's head. Good boy, did you smell the scumbag? Huolinchin left with a livid face. Lin Xiaoman squeezed through the crowd, excitedly holding up her phone. Sister Weilan, the provincial TV station wants to interview you. That night, The three of us held a celebration at Ji Mingyuan's office. The walls were covered with evidence charts of the Hua family's crimes, but in the center hung Lin Xiaoman's handwritten calligraphy of "Eliminate evil and sweep away corruption," and a koi fish painting. "What do we do next?" Lin Xiaoman asked with her mouth full of pizza. "The Hua family definitely won't give up." Ji Mingyuan adjusted his glasses. "I have already submitted clues to the Procuratorate regarding the Hua group's alleged involvement in organ trafficking." I swirled my cola glass. "I contacted the families of several accidentally deceased girls, and they are willing to file a joint lawsuit." Just as I was speaking, my phone suddenly rang. It was my adoptive mother, Wei Ran. Her voice was sharp. "Come home immediately. The Hua family has sent someone, saying they want to negotiate with us." I put the call on speakerphone and exchanged a glance with Ji Mingyuan. "Mom, what negotiation?" Chairman Hua came in person. He said, "As long as you drop the lawsuit, he'll give the land in the east of the city to our Ning family." My adoptive mother's voice was tinged with greed. "Hurry back and sign." I let out a cold laugh. "Mom, what you're doing is suspected of bribery, according to Article 385 of the criminal law. State personnel who take advantage of their position to solicit property from others are guilty of bribery. Although you're not a civil servant, assisting in a crime also carries responsibility." There was silence on the other end of the line for a few seconds, followed by my adoptive mother's scream, "You ungrateful wretch, we raised you for so many years. We'll settle the matter of illegally occupying my biological parents' estate another day." I hung up the phone and looked at Lin Xiaoman, who was stunned, and Ji Mingyuan, who was holding back laughter. "Next target, my dear adoptive parents." Ji Mingyuan raised his cola cup. "To our anti-tyrant alliance, to the rule of law." Lin Xiaoman cheered. I clinked glasses with a smile, and my phone suddenly popped up with a Weibo notification. Hashtag Hua Group stock price plummets again. Hashtag Suyuan faking illness exposed. Hashtag nationwide search for essential bomb. Hashtag it seems we're going to win this case for sure. After all, in this world, no tycoon can stand above the law. If there is one, let's be the ones to send them to prison ourselves. On the day of the verdict, the area outside the court was packed with people. As soon as Ji Mingyuan and I got out of the car, we were engulfed by camera flashes. "Miss Ning, I heard the Hua family is willing to settle for 50 million. Suyuan cried during her live stream last night, saying you ruined her life. Do you have any response?" "There are reports that the Hua group is secretly transferring assets." I was about to answer when I suddenly noticed a tall, thin man in a baseball cap in the crowd staring intently at me, his gloomy gaze sending chills down my spine. I quietly nudged Ji Mingyuan. "At 9 o'clock. The one in the black hat looks a bit suspicious." Ji Mingyuan glanced over discreetly and whispered, "It might be Shinimo, that obsessive psychologist who has a crush on Su Yuan." "Ah, I remember now." In the original story, this perverted male supporting character repeatedly schemed against the female lead for Su Yuan, and in the end, he even tried to kill her. I immediately perked up, switched my phone to video mode, and slipped it into my chest pocket, with the lens facing outward. "Let's go, the live broadcast is about to begin." I linked arms with Ji Mingyuan and deliberately said loudly, "Today is a big day. Someone is going to prison." Sure enough, out of the corner of my eye, I saw the man in the black hat stiffen. The courtroom was packed to capacity, with people even standing in the aisles. Hua Linchen and Su Yuan were already seated in the defendant's dock, both looking utterly miserable. Su Yuan wasn't pretending to be sick today, but she had applied a pale, haggard makeup to look frail, occasionally scanning the room with teary eyes, like a frightened little white rabbit. The judge rapped the gavel to announce the start of the trial and was just about to read the verdict when the courtroom door was suddenly flung open. "Wait!" The man in the black hat barged in, holding a fruit knife in his hand. The scene immediately descended into chaos as bailiffs quickly surrounded him. "Don't move. Put the knife down." The man yanked off his hat, revealing a pale, gaunt face. It was indeed Shinimo. His eyes were bloodshot, and the tip of the knife pointed straight at me. "Ning Weilan. You vicious woman, I'm going to get justice for Yuan Yuan." Su Yuan in the spectator seats let out a startled cry, then a flicker of delight flashed in her eyes. This detail didn't escape my notice, and I immediately took note of it. Ji Mingyuan stepped in front of me and whispered, "Be careful, this person might be mentally unstable." I patted his shoulder and calmly stood up. Shen Imo, is it? Article 20 of the criminal law states that defensive actions taken against ongoing violent crimes do not incur criminal liability. I took off my jacket, revealing the stab-proof vest underneath. What a coincidence, I happen to be wearing this today. The courtroom erupted in an uproar. Shen Imo clearly hadn't anticipated this turn of events. He froze for a second before charging forward even more frantically. Go to hell. The next scene left everyone dumbfounded. I dodged the blade with a sidestep, grabbed his wrist, and executed a perfect shoulder throw. Shen Imo slammed onto the ground like a dead fish, the fruit knife flying far away. Oh, the gallery let out a collective gasp. I pinned Shen Imo's back with one knee, pulled handcuffs from my pocket. Yes, I had come prepared, and swiftly cuffed him. Dr. Shen, this is attempted intentional homicide. That's at least 3 years in prison. The entire scene was live-streamed from the phone on my chest. The comments exploded instantly. Holy crap, the goddess of law knows martial arts too. That shoulder throw was so cool. Shen Imo, who am I? Where am I? As the bailiff dragged away the bewildered Shen Imo, he suddenly struggled and looked back. Yuan, I did it all for you. Su Yuan's face turned deathly pale as she hurriedly waved her hands. I don't know him. Is that so? I took out my phone and played a surveillance video. In the footage, Su Yuan was secretly meeting with Shen Imo in a cafe, tears streaming down her face as she said, Brother Imo, if only Ning Weilan weren't here. Su Yuan's face instantly turned ashen. I smiled faintly. According to Article 29 of the criminal law, anyone who instigates another to commit a crime shall be punished based on the role they played in the joint offense. Miss Su, what you've done is instigating murder. The judge slammed the gavel heavily. Order in the court. Take Shen Imo away for detention. Su Yuan, you are now suspected of instigating a crime. Bailiffs, put handcuffs on her as well. Su Yuan truly fainted this time, but it was from fright. Linchin wanted to step forward to intervene but was stopped by the bailiffs, causing a brief scene of chaos. 10 minutes later, order was finally restored. The judge wiped the sweat from his brow and continued reading the verdict. The defendant, Linchin, is found guilty of intentional injury and sentenced to 3 years in prison. Guilty of unlawful detention, sentenced to 2 years. For multiple offenses, a combined sentence of 4 years in prison is decided. Linchin's face turned ashen, and his lawyer immediately stood up. We will appeal. The judge ignored him and continued reading. The defendant, Su Yuan, is found guilty of false accusation and framing, sentenced to 1 year in prison, additionally suspected of incitement to murder, to be handled separately in another case. At that moment, the courtroom doors were pushed open again. This time, 2 police officers escorted my adoptive parents inside. Mr. and Mrs. Ning are suspected of charges such as embezzlement of inheritance and bribery, and their arrest has now been approved. The police presented the arrest warrant to the judge. Upon seeing me, my adoptive mother immediately screamed, Ning Weilan, you ungrateful wretch, we raised you all these years, according to Article 1117 of the Civil Code. I calmly interrupted her. Guardians who infringe upon the lawful rights and interests of their ward shall bear legal responsibility. Did you really think I wouldn't remember you embezzling the 2 properties and savings left by my parents? The foster father still wanted to argue, but the police had already handcuffed them. The foster mother suddenly pointed at Hua Jintian. It was him, he was the one who ordered it. The Hua family promised us benefits. Hua Jintian slammed the table and stood up. Nonsense. The courtroom instantly turned into a chaotic farce of dogs biting dogs. The judge banged the gavel over a dozen times before regaining control of the situation, finally announcing an adjournment and scheduling another day to hear the other related cases. As we walked out of the courtroom, reporters swarmed around us frantically. Ji Mingyuan shielded me as we made our way out. Suddenly, Lin Xiaoman squeezed through the crowd, excitedly waving her phone. Sister Weilan, you're trending at #1. I glanced at her phone screen. The hashtag, Law Goddess Takes on 3, was followed by a trending symbol, and right below it were Hua Linchin sentenced, Su Yuan incitement to murder, and Shen Missouri court assault. And this, Lin Xiaoman opened a video, a slow-motion replay of me throwing Shen Imo over my shoulder. The caption read, when a law PhD decides to switch to martial arts. And the likes had already surpassed 1 million. Ji Mingyuan shook his head helplessly. Now the whole country knows you. Perfect. I flashed a peace sign at the camera. Let's use this opportunity to spread some legal knowledge. What should you do if you encounter domestic violence? Call the police immediately, preserve evidence, and apply for a personal safety protection order. Remember, the law is always your strongest shield. A burst of applause erupted from the crowd. Suddenly, a dog bark was heard, and General, majestic and imposing, pushed through the crowd to my side, vigilantly glaring at the surroundings. Good boy. I patted its head and added to the camera. By the way, if you encounter a vicious dog, don't be afraid. Just call 110 or the 12345 citizen hotline, and professionals will handle it. The bullet comments were instantly flooded with phrases like, humans are no match for dogs, and General has turned over a new leaf. That evening, the three of us and General held a celebration at Ji Mingyuan's office. Lin Xiaoman edited the highlights from today's court session into a compilation, set it to the Light of Justice, BGM, and posted it online, where the views instantly surpassed 10 million. The Hua Group's stock hit the limit down today. Ji Mingyuan stared at the financial news on his phone. The board of directors was holding an emergency meeting to remove Hua Zhentian from his position as chairman. Serves him right. Lin Xiaoman stuffed her mouth with potato chips. Sister Weilan, is it time to deal with that fake doctor next? I was about to answer when the general suddenly pricked up his ears and growled lowly toward the door. We immediately became alert. Someone was coming. A knock sounded at the door. Ji Mingyuan cautiously opened it to find a middle-aged man in a well-tailored suit standing outside. Are you Miss Ning Weilan? I am. I step forward. And you are. My surname is Gu. And I am the legal counsel for the Gu Group. He hands over a business card. Our chairman would like to meet you regarding the matter of your origins. Ji Mingyuan and I exchange a glance. In the original story, the female lead comes from an ordinary family. What mystery could there possibly be about her origins? What origins? I asked directly. Attorney Gu lowered his voice. Are you aware that the Ning couple are not your biological parents? Lin Xiaoman gasped. Ji Mingyuan furrowed his brows. And I excitedly slapped the table. Fantastic. Now we can add a charge of child trafficking. Attorney Gu. Ji Mingyuan cleared his throat softly. Attorney Gu, who is your client? Why have you only appeared now? This, Lawyer Gu hesitated for a moment. The chairman said he must tell Miss Ning in person. He's waiting downstairs in the car. Without another word, I pulled out my phone. Let's add each other on WeChat first. Take photos of your chairman's ID card, household registration, and criminal record certificate for me to see. Oh, and the DNA test report too. Otherwise, why should I believe him? Lawyer Gu left looking completely bewildered. Lin Xiaoman gazed at me with admiration. Sister Weilan, even when it comes to recognizing relatives, you're this hardcore. Who knows if it's just another trap? I checked to make sure my stab-proof vest was properly worn. Let's go. Let's meet this chairman. Ji Mingyuan picked up the car keys. I'll drive. Lin Xiaoman, you provide backup support and be ready to call the police at any time. The general also stood up, looking as if he wanted to go too. I patted its head. All right, you come along too. Professional at biting bad guys. Our group made a grand descent downstairs and saw a black Maybach parked by the roadside. The car window slowly rolled down, revealing the face of a middle-aged man who bore a slight resemblance to me. He looked at me, a flicker of excitement in his eyes. Weilan, I am your uncle. I calmly raised my phone. Where's the evidence? The man let out a bitter laugh and handed over a file folder. Your mother is my sister. 20 years ago, she was deceived by Hua Zhentian and gave birth to you. Later, to cover up the scandal, the Hua family gave you to the Ning family. I opened the file, which contained a DNA test report, old photos, and various legal documents. Ji Mingyuan carefully examined them and nodded to me. The materials appear to be genuine, so I narrowed my eyes. Hua Linchen is my cousin. The man nodded heavily. That's also why Hua Zhentian must keep you under control in the Hua family. He's afraid the truth about your origins will come to light. Wow, I couldn't help but applaud. This is getting intense. Marriage between close relatives is illegal. Article 7 of the marriage law explicitly prohibits it. Hua Linchen's forced marriage can now be charged with an additional crime. Chairman Gu. Ji Mingyuan rubbed his forehead. Weilan, you're missing the point. The key point is, I put my hands on my hips, adding another crime to the Hua family's list. Lin Xiaoman, get ready for new video material. Hashtag rich family incest. Hashtag this topic is absolutely explosive. The general barked at the right moment, showing his agreement. Chairman Gu looked like he was about to have a heart attack. Weilan, I came to acknowledge you as family, not to help you collect evidence of the Hua family's crimes. No conflict here, uncle. I affectionately linked arms with him. A family should stay together, and send the Hua family to prison together. In the window of the Maybach, the reflection of our anti-tyrant alliance is cast. A doctor of law, a lawyer, a little nurse, a reformed villainous dog, and now, a wealthy uncle has joined the ranks. Hua Linchin, are you ready in prison? Your good days are yet to come. After all, in this society governed by the rule of law, no tyrant can escape justice. If there are any, then let us use the law to send them in, one by one. 3 months later, at the Intermediate People's Court of City A, I stood at the plaintiff's bench, looking at the row of familiar faces across from me in the defendant's seats. Hua Zhentian, Hua Linchin, Su Yuan, Shen Mo, my adoptive parents, and 3 executives of the Hua Group. This lineup was like a gathering of villains from a domineering CEO novel. The court is now in session. The judge cleared his throat. The Hua Group has been found guilty of multiple charges, including organizing and leading a mafia-style organization, intentional homicide, unlawful detention, and illegal organ trafficking. As the judge delivered the verdict, the faces of the opposing villain alliance turned ashen one by one. Hua Zhentian was sentenced to life imprisonment. Hua Linchin received a cumulative sentence of 15 years for multiple charges. Su Yuan and Shen Mo were sentenced to 8 and 10 years respectively, and my adoptive parents were also sentenced to 7 years for embezzling inheritance and accepting bribes. As the bailiffs handcuffed them, Su Yuan suddenly screamed hysterically, "This isn't fair. I just loved Brother Linchin." I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Expressing love with the criminal law, Miss Su, your love is truly criminal. The public gallery erupted in a burst of laughter. Hua Linchin glared at me fiercely. Ning Weilan, don't get too smug, Mr. Hua. I interrupted him with a smile. According to the prison law, good behavior can lead to a reduced sentence. I suggest you read more legal books and strive for an early release. I paused. Oh, by the way, by the time you get out, I'll be almost 40. And I probably won't be interested in an old man like you. The entire courtroom burst into laughter. Even the judge was trying to hold back a smile. Hua Linchin turned pale with anger and was forcibly escorted away by the bailiffs. As I walked out of the courthouse, the sun was shining brightly. Ji Mingyuan, Lin Xiaoman, and the general were already waiting for me, along with my newly recognized uncle, Chairman Gu, Weilan. Lin Xiaoman waved her phone excitedly. Guess what? Netizens have voted you as the legal figure of the year. Ji Mingyuan handed me a cup of coffee. The assets of the Hua Group are being liquidated, and the families of the victims will all receive compensation. Chairman Gu patted my shoulder. Weilan, the Gu Group is planning to establish a legal aid fund, and we hope you can be the ambassador. Before I could respond, the general suddenly started barking frantically in one direction. We turned to look and saw a woman wearing sunglasses sneaking behind a tree. It was the malicious female supporting character from the original story. Hua Qingqing, Hua Linchin's cousin. Why hasn't she gone in yet? I frowned. Ji Mingyuan checked his phone. Oh, she was just an accomplice and got a suspended sentence. Hua Qingqing noticed we were watching her and actually walked over. Ning Weilan, don't think this is over. Our Hua family, Miss Hua, I interrupted her. According to Article 75 of the criminal law, if you commit another crime during the probation period, you will be punished for multiple offenses. I waved my phone. I've already recorded your threat just now. Want to give it a try? Hua Qingqing's face turned pale, and she turned to run, only to trip on the steps and fall flat on her face. This scene was just captured by a passing journalist and made it to the trending topics the next day with the hashtag, the last stubbornness of the Huo family. That evening, we held a grand celebration banquet at a hotel under the Gu Group. Amidst the clinking of glasses, Ji Mingyuan suddenly pulled me onto the balcony. Weilan, there's something I've been wanting to ask you. He was uncharacteristically nervous. Now that the case is over, what are your plans? I gazed at the distant city lights and smiled. I'll keep working as a forensic doctor. But I turned to look at him. I plan to start a legal education live stream. I've even thought of a name, Legal Sister Online, smashing the overbearing CEO. Ji Mingyuan chuckled softly. Can I be a special guest? The free kind, maybe, I said, feigning seriousness, but you'll have to pass the interview first. Do you know the maximum sentence for intentional assault? 3 to 10 years, Ji Mingyuan replied without hesitation. Then he took a step closer. But if the victim is the one I love, it would be a life sentence, because I'd spend a lifetime making it up to her. My old face flushed. Lawyer G, your corny sweet talk is suspected of violating the anti-unfair competition law, constituting false advertising. Before I could finish, Wei Lan, may I kiss you? Objection. I pushed him away. This is sexual harassment. Ji Mingyuan raised his hands with a smile. I plead guilty, Your Honor. Please sentence me to life imprisonment. Locked in Ning Weilan's heart with no parole. I was left speechless. Just then, Lin Xiaoman suddenly pushed open the balcony door. Weilan, come quick, General is on TV. We returned to the banquet hall and saw a special report playing on the TV titled, From Vicious Dog to Decorated Dog, A German Shepherd's Journey of Redemption. On the screen, General, wearing a therapy dog vest, was playing with young patients at a children's hospital, showing no trace of the aggressive dog that once bit anyone in sight. He's more sensible than some people. I patted General's head. Right, good boy, the General barked proudly, making the whole room burst into laughter. At the end of the banquet, Chairman Gu announced the official establishment of the Weilan Legal Aid Fund, dedicated to helping victims of domestic violence and vulnerable groups. As the ambassador, my first task was to record short legal education videos. The title of the first video was, What to Do When You Encounter a Tyrannical Boss. Send him to prison. After the video was released, the hashtag legal counterattack against tyrannical bosses quickly trended on social media, with views surpassing 100 million. The comments section turned into a large-scale legal education scene. Back when I used to read domineering CEO novels, so sweet. Now when I read domineering CEO novels, how many years in prison would this get? It is recommended that all domineering CEO novels include a warning at the beginning. This story involves multiple illegal activities. Please do not imitate. Thank you. Dear Ning, for curing my love-struck brain. 3 months later, the Minglan law firm, which I co-founded with Ji Mingyuan, officially opened, specializing in cases for disadvantaged groups that seem impossible to win. Lin Xiaoman quit her job as a nurse to become our public relations director, while General became the firm's mascot and security guard. On the opening day, we received a special gift, a letter from prison. It was written by Huo Linchen, and the entire letter was filled with accusations that I had ruined his life. After reading it, I handed it directly to Ji Mingyuan. Write a reply in the name of the law firm, telling him he can entrust us to appeal. I blinked. Of course, the chances of winning are about as likely as a pig climbing a tree. Ji Mingyuan smiled and tossed the letter into the shredder. As you wish, my goddess of law. Sunlight streamed in through the floor-to-ceiling windows, casting its glow on the four of us, 2 lawyers, 1 public relations specialist, and a dog. The lineup didn't look particularly serious, but I knew we would bring a little change to this world in the most serious way possible. After all, in this society governed by the rule of law, no domineering CEO can stand above the law. If there is, then let us personally send them to prison. After hearing the story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.